All right, welcome back. This is Joseph Spivey again in the second video for the course. In the first video, we looked at Moodle and some of the features we'll be using this semester. And in this video, we'll be looking at the syllabus. Now notice that this is going to be just a highlights version of the syllabus. I'm not going to go through every detail. This is not a substitute for you reading the syllabus yourself. So again, this is just a highlight of the main points of the syllabus, but I want you to go ahead and read that thing yourself. All right, so let's begin. The syllabus can be found on Moodle, so let's go ahead and see what it says. The top here just contains contact information for me, as well as our textbook, which we've talked about, and the office hours, which we've talked about. I do want to mention that I expect students to engage deeply with the calculus curriculum, both in and out of the classroom, and to take responsibility for their own learning. Right? So success depends on understanding the material and being able to apply calculus techniques to new problems and situations. Memorization will not be adequate. Right? The actual format of the class, many classes will be presented using group work. I use POGLE primarily for that. POGLE stands for Process-Oriented Guided Inquiry Learning. And it's just a way of structuring group work to make it really effective. So the process-oriented part means that each student has a role in the group to ensure that they're working together. And the guided inquiry learning means that each group will be given a series of questions that guide them to better understanding. So I want to tell you a little bit about why I think that's important. First of all, learning how to work together in a group is an important skill, and I think that that's something that you ought to learn in college. This is a great opportunity to practice those skills, to get better at them, and they'll pay off. Right? So when you look for a job, employers are looking for people who can work together in groups and can work with other people. So POGLE is a great way to get experience with that. So that's the first reason. The second reason is it turns out that here's a study I'd like to tell you. Okay, so in chemistry, in a chemistry course, they had two sections of a course. One used lecture primarily, and in the other section, it used POGLE primarily. And they looked at the scores of students at the end of the course, and I think that the POGLE students did a bit better than, it was a common final exam. The POGLE students did a bit better on the final exam. So they learned the material better that semester than the lecture students. Right? Now, the most amazing thing happened a semester later. So they tracked those students in the next section, in the next course in the sequence, like the second course in the chemistry sequence. And what they found was, now the second course was a lecture course. So one would think that the lectured students would have an advantage since they came from a lecture course. However, it turns out that the POGLE students, the people who were in the POGLE section in the first class, did better in the second class. There's a lot of ideas about why that is true, why that happened, but I think, and many people think, that it's because POGLE teaches people how to learn for themselves. And so the POGLE students learned how to learn, so they were better able to learn and apply those techniques in that second class. So I think that's a really powerful illustration of POGLE. We all learn things ourselves. And so this helps us learn things. This helps us learn how to learn, and I think that that's a really, 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 really amazing thing to learn in college. So that's sort of the second reason that we're going to be using POGLE in class. Right? I'm not going to go through the goals of the course. I do want to say that at the beginning here, we're going to be doing some. We're going to be talking about some of the logical underpinnings. So we'll be doing some theory. It's going to be different from the calculus you're used to, but what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the calculus that you learned and fill in some of the logical gaps. Put in some of the, some more of the logic, some more of the proofs to get a better understanding of the logical underpinnings of calculus. Right? After that, we'll be further developing our calculus skills using applications of differentiation and integration, and also new integration techniques like trig substitution and partial fractions. Right. All right, so we're gonna go on to the next part. We've talked quite a bit about the technology, so I'm gonna skip most of this. I do want to tell you that a graphing calculator can be used for this course. So you can use the calculator on tests and quizzes, provided the calculator does not do symbolic differentiation and integration. So, for instance, the TI-89 is not allowed, right? So anything that does symbolic differentiation and integration is just too powerful. So if you have a calculator and you want to know if it would be okay to use it in this class, bring it by me and I can take a look and tell you whether or not it would work. Also, just keep in mind, like I said in the last video, you can use the GraphLock app during test quizzes in class if you don't have a graphing calculator and do not want to purchase one. So that's a perfectly good way to take your smartphone and turn it into a graphing calculator that you can use for tests. Right? All right, it's important that you keep up with the reading. So as we mentioned, the textbook is a digital textbook with interactive figures, and there will be a reading each night. I think it's important to note, test will cover both the material from class discussion and material from the reading. So please keep that in mind. The only thing I want to tell you about homework, besides the fact that it's really important that you do it, it's very important that you do your homework every night, is that students will be granted one extension up to 48 hours after the original due date on a homework assignment upon request for 75% credit. So if you've got other things going on and miss a WebAssign assignment, or you get a big paper and you just can't get the WebAssign assignment done, whatever, then you can always request an extension up to 48 hours after the original due date for 75% credit, right? 75% credit is better than no credit. So I think that's a great thing to take advantage of. All right, so we talked about participation. I think it's important to note that if you have an unexcused absence during a class period in which group activities are graded, you will receive a 0 for those assignments. So, please show up to class. It's important that you come to class. Here's the attendance policy. So in particular, if you have an excused absence, then I will assign either a grade based on your score on the final exam or administer a makeup, and that's my choice. And usually for homework, usually I'll give you an extension, but I could also assign a grade based on the average of your other homework grades, right? So unexcused absences give you a 0 for the assignment or at the test. All right. Also note that no student with 3 or more unexcused absences will be permitted to drop the course with a passing grade. So it's important to note that. There are 3 in-class tests. You can find those at the end of the syllabus. Let's see. Also, notice that you will get a 3x5-inch index card with notes written on one side for each test. And for the final, you'll get an index card with both sides written on it. Though other resources, including other notes, textbook, internet, other technologies, are prohibited during tests. Also, there's a proofs portfolio. I'll tell you a lot more about that in class, but that proofs portfolio will count as your first test grade. Right. There's how the grade breakup goes down. I think that adds up to 100%, hopefully. Yep, looks good. Here's how letter grades are assigned, so you can take a look at that as well. This is important. It is the policy of the mathematics department that professors strictly enforce the WP-WF grade policy. That is, every student with an F in the course who wishes to withdraw after the drop-add period will be assigned a grade of WF. A student with a grade higher than F who wishes to withdraw will receive a grade of WP, provided that the student has less than 3 unexcused absences. So the mathematics department a while ago just decided to enforce that policy. We were once upon a time giving anyone who wanted to withdraw a WP, but we had a lot of students who just refused to do the homework, and if they didn't do the homework, then they did very poorly on the tests. We were teaching students 2 and 3 times who just never bothered to try. So after we started enforcing the WP-WF grade policy, then we notice that students started doing their homework, which is exactly the point, right? So this is nothing to worry about. If you're doing your homework, you're going to be passing the class, so there's nothing to worry about here. Just make sure you do your homework, all right? There are the dates for the final exam, so take a look. Also, the honor code is upheld in this as in all classes. So, so you can find a copy of the honor code at that link right there. Um, here are here is a list of appropriate sources for homework that is to be turned in. There they are. An official math tutor or peer tutor, other students currently taking this class, student editions of our class textbook. There's only the one edition, so our textbook, me, your personal class notes, any materials posted on Math 182's Moodle site, an approved graphing calculator. And I just want to note that there are a whole bunch of technology resources like Wolfram Alpha, Mathematica, etc., that will calculate derivatives and integrals for you, and it will even show you step by step how to do them. These are very, very helpful, but technology should support a student's own learning, not take the place of doing work. Students are allowed to use technology for homework provided that it supports their learning. All right. And the only other part of the syllabus that you want to take a look at is here's the tentative syllabus. So here is roughly the order of topics that we're going to be doing. I want to note that exam 1, exam 2, and exam 3 are posted, and those dates are not going to change. The other dates may change, right? We may not do trig substitutions on, this day. It may move a little bit based on how far we're getting. But the exam date should not change. All right, thanks very much, and I'll see you in class.